Hi, biology students. For those of you who were not able to be here in class today, I just wanted to give you some instructions on kind of this project that we're starting, the Cell Factory project. This is going to force you to use all of that information that you got about the organelles and their functions and apply it to a project. You're going to choose some type of factory or setting where you're going to draw or make analogies to the cell organelle and what that function might be in a factory. So you can choose any kind of factory, a restaurant or a store or any kind of facility. I did tell people, please don't choose your home. It's really, really difficult to make these enough analogies, I think, to those cell organelle functions and your actual home. I think there's usually just not enough stuff there. So choose something like Walmart or Taco Bell or a deli, or if you have a job and you want to use your place of work, or be creative. I've had some really creative ones over the years. So remember, an analogy so actually let me go to this other one really quickly. An analogy is something that you're making that comparison. So for example, I might make the analogy of a cell wall. So first of all, in this sheet I'm going to write cell wall. The function in the plant, please use the definitions that we went through in class. Please don't just Google definitions. You have to use our definitions, because that's kind of the whole point of this is, right? Sometimes when students Google things, you get some weird definitions that aren't even science related, and that's not what we want. So please use the definitions from class. All right, so first of all, I want to say cell wall, the function in the plant, is to provide structure and support to the plant cell. So I want to write that definition in here. And maybe I'll just use the example of, let's say that I am making an analogy to my house. So my factory that I'm going to do is my house, and I don't want you to do your house because again, there's not enough stuff there to do it well, I don't think. The part in the factory, I might say the exterior walls of my house are the part in my factory that I'm comparing to the cell wall. Explain the analogy. It has to make sense. So the analogy is that both provide support. Okay? The cell wall provides support to the plant cell. The walls, the exterior walls of my house provide support for my home. And so I'm explaining that analogy. Every once in a while I have a student who just picks random things like, I'm going to compare ribosomes to windows of my house. That makes no sense. Okay? The function of ribosomes is to make energy for to make protein for the cell. There's no possible analogy between that and windows to my house. So don't just make stuff up. It has to kind of make sense. So be really careful about those analogies. They should make sense. If you move through this and you get stuck on a couple, and you're like, gosh, I'm on chloroplast and I just have no idea what to do, shoot me an email. Ask your friends first. Say, hey, what did you do? And then or shoot me an email if you guys are really struggling. You are not allowed to do the same factory as your friend. So if your best friend is like, I'm going to do Taco Bell, and then you say, I'm going to do Taco Bell too, and you turn in the same project, this is not a group project, so I won't accept that. Make sure that yours is your own. Remember that you have all of the instructions, definitions to all of these organelles in the notes that are posted, so you have complete access to that. When it comes time for you to draw your cell factory, let me rearrange this a little bit. So this is my house. When it comes time to draw this, you don't have to be an artist. Clearly I'm not an artist. I do want some structure, like the walls should be nice and straight. Please use a ruler. If you draw this in 5 minutes on a piece of notebook paper, it's going to be obvious that you did that. It's not going to look nice, and I'm not going to give you full points. I want really nicely drawn structures here. So when I draw, and this, I would like you to use color. I want this to look really nice. I want things to be nicely done. Things are straight, things are. So I might say then the stove is, so I do a lot of cooking. I make all of my food on my stove. Ribosomes make proteins, so I could say I make proteins on my stove. That's my analogy. Again, I need to label both of these, even though to me, obviously this looks like a stove in my kitchen. It might not be obvious to everyone else, so we want to make sure that it's really obvious. For me, I said my front door represents the cell membrane because it controls what goes in and out of my house, just like the cell membrane controls what goes in and out of the cell. So good luck. This will be, I'll set up a folder on Google Classroom that you can turn this into. You'll have to take pictures probably and turn it in that way.